Hi, welcome to that replay of the webinar about data uses in our Smart Villages project. So I will quickly present you some context about open data and APIs, like we are going to see. And after that, I will present the API itself from our good practices and assessment from the Smart Village project and how we can reuse it. Okay, so firstly, I will just share my screen uh, with a quick presentation about open data before going deeply in our own Smart Villages data. I wanted to just put some elements of context. So open data is the idea of opening uh, public or private data to put them at the disposal of all citizens over internet, and with the uh, more total um, um, more total format as possible. So and that first figure you see there are different steps for open data. So the poorest one is like some PDF you put over internet with an open license, but it's just a PDF, so you cannot reuse it really. So it's a very first step of open data. After that, you have some Excel file. So it's good, you can reuse the data, you can do something with it, but it's proprietary format because it is Microsoft, so you cannot uh, really open it in any software. So it's the second step. After that, you have open formats like CSV, for example, which is uh, quite well-known data format, which is open. And after that, you have the better steps that are quite complex because they are related to semantic web also. And second thing, after that notion of opening and different kinds of opening, it is what is really public data and why we can say it is open. So there are a few things on that figure that is related to France situation, but it's quite more or less the same in the other countries. So in France, we consider data as a public data, so it's a specific case, as a public data when it is collected by a public organism, when it doesn't uh, go on national security issues, when it doesn't rely on private life or private data, and when you don't have any nominative data in it. This is very important. No nominative data, no private data in open data. And the second thing is about why it is open. So the data have to be complete. So you have to get all the elements to be able to understand it. It has to be collected as it was firstly collected. It has to be given as it was firstly collected. It has to be put at your disposal quite quickly, because if you get the data from I don't know, from good practices, for example, 10 years after they have been in place, it's just obsolete and it won't be valuable for you. It has to be accessible to a large number of people. So it is over internet, but it has to be also visible, not on some kind of dark blog, not referenced over any search engine, etc. open data has to be also readable by a machine. For example, scanned PDF, which is scanned, but this is not with character with yeah with characters. It's not readable by a machine, and so it's not considered as open data. And the last thing, it has to be not discriminatory, but this is more related to national laws, and not proprietary. Okay. Is it okay? Yeah. So next thing is about formats. We had discussed a little bit about that. There are all also other examples of format, like for example shape format, which is a mapping format, or the different text format, doc, ODS, or table format like yeah, like ODT. And also there are more technical formats like XML or JSON, which is the format that gives the API from our Smart Villages DEP, and which is a format dedicated to mainly to developers and to web reuse. Okay, I will stop my screen sharing. So we had a very first overview about open data, and now I will um, just give you an overview of what is inside our own export data page, which is on the DEP. Um, there are three endpoints, so three ways to get some data from that page, from that API, so the programming interface. One is very technical. It returns all the metadata. It won't be probably useful for you. And the two other are one about assessment. Jorge in another video will give you more details. And one is about good practices. Um, so I will share my screen to show you that. Uh, I will try at least. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, no, it's not here. Yeah. So here it is. So in the endpoints, good practices, that will be the one we are going to have a look. You see this is quite, if you put the raw data, it is more or less unreadable for normal humans. If you use that JSON beautifier in Firefox or in other tools, you more or less can understand what is that about. So you have the different good practices that are listed with a number, and after that they have some elements, so an ID, the title of the good practice, the short description, the country, the different categories. So here, smart living, for example, the different criteria that we have put on the form, and the different fields, evidence of success, detailed information, etc. So you have all those informations for each good practice. And what I'm going to show to you is how you can use it. So you can, ouch, I have a problem. Yeah, you can use uh, little online tools like that one, Code Beautify, that allow you to paste all the data and use some tools to beautify it, like you have on the right, or to transform it into another format. For example, CSV, if you want to use it in Excel or other data tools. And I am going to show you two things. First one is very simple. It's I just take the old text here, I copy it and I pasted it in a tool for word counting. The one I used here is databasic.io, which is very well working. And you see when I paste it, and I have cloud with the more present words. So that's very interesting because we have digital, local, municipalities, citizens, people, process. Okay, we see that Leffingen is very often quoted in the practices. We have the platform, we have the wine, which is a very important thing in our project, etc., etc. So gives you a nice overview, and there is also another thing that is quite interesting. Um, it is for example, the bigrams or trigrams that can give you some elements that are often quoted, like municipality of Drava cycling routes. No, it's not so interesting here. Anyway, this is also possible to get that. So this is just word counting. And the other tool I wanted to show you is data wrapper. It's also an online data analysis tool, which is quite simple. You can upload some data. So, for example, here I just entered the data issued from the assessment API, and you can visualize it like I was showing you with different diagram. And for example, here I just took two questions from the assessment. The question 4, which was there are active citizen associations or organizations in my village, and the question people in my village are eager to participate in meetings or assemblies of public interest. And we see on that diagram that when there are associations in a territory, there is quite a good citizens involvement. And when there are no associations on the territory, there is no citizens involvement in decision making. So that's very interesting to have a look on correlations like that. And with that API, you can use it uh, with quite interesting analysis. Last thing I wanted to talk about is the question of license and reuse of that data. So in the world of open data, there are different licenses, and there are mainly two kinds of them. There are more or less free licenses, like the um, open license, which gives you all the right to reuse it, to modify it, to use it for commercial ways. And there are also share-like licenses that allows you to do all that kinds of things, but they force you to share the updates you could do on those data, and to share with the same license. So for example, if you are going to reuse those data, if you update them, you would have to share with the same license, and to give our improvements to the community. So here it is. I think a very quick introduction to open data and to our data API from good practices and self-assessment. And I will give the floor to Jorge for a presentation of the script that allows you to make some matchmaking operations and so on. Bye bye.